So you liked Master and Margarita. Great. Then let me introduce you to Isaac Babel. The other half of the reason I'm so glad that I took that Russian literature course in college so many years ago. He is simply one of the best writers who ever lived, in my opinion. And look at him. I mean, you can just tell he's a mensch. He's often called the best Russian Jewish writer of all time. And it's his short stories that really shine. So I'll focus on two today, the Odessa stories and the Red Calvary stories. And you can get his complete works edited by one of his daughters. Unfortunately, his complete works aren't that big of books. I have them here, and they're not as big as one would hope because he was murdered by Stalin's people. Like so many great writers and thinkers of that era in Russia, he went to the gulags and was dead within a year. It's very sad. It's never ceased to affect me. I don't know why, but it's because he's such a gem. So many of his works got lost during his arrest, and there was a long hunt to find them, but it turns out that the Stalinists had burned them. And it's too bad. There's almost nothing like this writing. The Odessa stories are set in the city of Odessa in modern-day Ukraine, which has always been a center of intelligentsia and culture and writing and art. And so he talks about what it's like to be a poor Jewish kid growing up in Odessa. It's a beautiful look at a time and a place, and they're simply wonderfully well done stories. The more intense stories are the Red Calvary stories, and this is about when the Cossacks of Russia, the big bearded men on their horses, were attacking the Polacks. And he was there. And it is, I think, it must have been very funny. He's there as a bespectacled Jewish guy following these giant burly men on their horses into battle. And the stories of what he saw there are just phenomenal. It's always made me think of Hunter S. Thompson and his book Hell's Angels. Hunter S. Thompson, we might think of him as tough. The Hell's Angels did not think of him as tough. And he followed them around and wrote about them and annoyed them with his book. And the men that he wrote about in Hell's Angels are very similar to the kind of men that he was writing about in the Red Calvary stories. And it speaks to how there is certain strains in humanity that simply come out at certain times, especially when observed by certain people. So these two sets of stories are just phenomenal and worth reading. You can find them online for free, I believe, but the complete works edited by his kids do a really good job. So to continue with our Russian lit, Isaac Babel.